Ich möchte beginnen mit einer Frage. Und zwar mit der Frage: Are there trains in my anus? Nee, Quatsch, mit der Frage: Echte Leseratten. Wenn die an diese Stelle, wenn die jetzt bei diesem Buch an diese Stelle kommen, warum lesen die weiter? Weil ich finde, ich bin auf Seite 254 von 704. Ich finde, das Buch ist played out. Like Kwame. Whatever that's supposed to mean. Was soll da jetzt noch passieren? Man weiß jetzt, wer der Idiot ist. Und der einzige Grund, warum ich jetzt weiterlesen würde, ist, um herauszufinden, ob ich recht habe. Dass es eigentlich Schwachsinn ist, weiterzulesen. Aber das würde jetzt einen guten Autor machen, wenn er quasi mich eines Besseren belehrt und mir auf einer der kommenden Seiten quasi zeigt, zum Glück hast du weitergelesen. Und ich würde gerne mal wissen, ob Leseratten dann genauso denken. Weil was soll da noch passieren jetzt? Was das toppt, weil es war ja sehr gut. Ich hab immer gedacht, boah, ich muss wieder online, ich will weiterlesen, aber das ist jetzt überhaupt nicht mehr. Das hat mich komplett verloren. Was war da jetzt nochmal? Das ist jetzt irgendwie, als wäre der Höhepunkt zu früh gekommen. Bei Tom Sawyer war es genau andersrum. Da musstest du die ersten Seiten überstehen, wo er damit den Zaun streicht, mit Becky, der Schule, dass er aus diesem Dorf weg ist. Und dann beginnt die Fantastic Voyage. Aber ich habe mehrmals es nicht geschafft über diese ersten Seiten. Ich glaube, ich lese es auch nochmal. Ich hätte jetzt Bock abzubrechen und das zu lesen, aber genau darum ging es ja. Mal einen Roman fertig schaffen. Aber wenn das jetzt so weitergeht, 500 Seiten, bruh, das wäre... Weil das ist ja, also wenn Frauen sowas lesen und es gut finden, das ist doch einfach nur lame. Passiert doch gar nichts. Aber gut, wie gesagt, ich bin ja nicht der Autor. Ich meine, das könnte jetzt sein, dass jetzt ein Drache kommt und das Notting Hill dem Erdboden gleich macht oder eine Orkherde Josephine als Sexsklave nimmt. Wäre jetzt auch nicht meins, aber das wäre Content, der quasi das Ganze spannend macht. Aber was soll da jetzt noch passieren? Und wo habe ich aufgehört? But there was only one thing she could do, and that was a thing that would cost her dear. Only by returning to Arlington Street at once, that moment, and giving information could she prevent the marriage. Mr. Torthy was Tom's guardian. He had the power, and though he had shirked his duty while the thing was in nubibus. Leider konnten wir das nicht finden. Nubibus. Erstens Wolke, zweitens Menge, drittens Ernst, viertens Schleier. While the thing was in nubibus. Unter einem Schleier. He would not dare to stand by when time and place, the house and the hour were pointed out to him. In less than 10 minutes she could be with him. In half as many the facts could be made known. Long before the hour elapsed, Mr. Northy, weil jetzt zum Beispiel, wenn ich jetzt aufhören würde, dann würde man von außen sagen, ja, aha. hast du mal wieder angefangen und hast es nicht zu Ende gebracht, ne? Du bringst nie irgendwas zu Ende, aber es ist lame. Deswegen bringe ich es nicht zu Ende. Wenn es gut wäre, würde ich es weiterlesen. Ich lese jetzt weiter, aber long before the hour elapsed, Mr. Nosey might be in Charges Row, or, if he preferred it, at Dr. Key's chapel, ready to forbid the marriage. The thing was possible, nay, it was easy. And it would withhold Tom from a step with he must repent all his life. Denken jetzt Leseratten da, oh, ich muss jetzt unbedingt wissen, wer zuerst heiratet. Ob die Heirat klappt, ob sie doch diesen Dulli heiratet. Damit sie nicht aufs Land zu Tante Lea muss. Was passiert mit Hawksworth? Kommt er ins Gefängnis oder flieht er aus dem Land? Das ist doch alles völlig uninteressant. Das ist so Gossip. Wer sagt was über wen? Und wer mit wem? Wer kennt wen? Oh, gut. Ich meine, das Buch ist aus 1900. Da hatten die Schreiberlinge noch mehr drauf als heutzutage, behaupte ich mal. Vielleicht zaubert er noch ein Ass aus dem Ärmel oder mehrere. But it entailed the one penance from which she was anxious to be saved. Ich versuche mal rauszureden, was mögen da jetzt welche, die das weiterlesen. The one penalty from which her wounded pride shrank, as the bleeding stump shrinks from cautery. To execute it, she must return to Arlington Street. Wenn ich noch einmal Arlington Street höre, raste ich aus. She must return into her sister's power, to the domination of Mrs. Martha. Aha. And the daily endurance to only of many and ignoble slight. But of course, jests and gibes and worse insinuations. An hour earlier, she had conceived the hope of escaping this, either through Tom's mediation or by a voluntary retreat to Chalk Hill. Now she had to choose this or his ruin. She did not hesitate, even in her folly of the previous day, even in her reckless self-abandonment to a silly passion. Josephine had not lacked the qualities that make for sacrifice: courage, generosity, staunchness. Here was room for their display in a better cause, and without a moment's delay, undeterred by the reflection that far from earning Tom's gratitude, she would alienate her only friend, she hurried into the bedroom and donned Lady Betty's lace jacket and Tuscan. With a moan on her own account, a pitiful smile on his, she put them on, and then paused, remembering with honor that she must pass through the streets in that guise. It had done well enough at night, but in the day the misfit was frightful. Not even for Tom could she walk through Berkeley Square and Portugal Street, the figure it made her. She must have a chair. She opened the door and was overjoyed to find that the landlord was still on the stairs. Will you please get me a chair? At once, without the loss of a minute. The man looked at her stupidly, his heavy lower lip dropped and flaccid. Nubibus. Mein Handy ist so ein Arsch, Digga. Flaccid. Werbung. Schlaff. Pause. His fat, whitish face evinced a sort of consternation. A chair? He repeated. Certainly, but if your ladyship is going any distance, would not a coach be better? No, I am only going as far as Arlington Street. She answered, off her guard for the moment. Still, a coach will do if you cannot get a chair. I have not a moment to lose. To be sure, ma'am, to be sure. A chair you'll have, then? Yes, and at once. At once, you understand? If you're in a hurry, maybe there's one below, he said. Sometimes there is. If there were. I should not have asked you to get one. I suppose you know what a chair is? She continued, for the man stood looking at her so dully and strangely that she began to think he was a natural. Oh, yes, he answered, his eyes twinkling with sudden intelligence. I know a chair, and I'd have had one for you by now, but by goal, I have no one to leave with the child in case it awakes. The child? Josephine cried. "'Tis here," he said, indicating a door that stood ajar at his elbow, "on the bed in the inner room. Ma'am, I'm doing the stairs to be near it." "Is it a baby?" "To be sure, what else?" "I'll stay with it then." "I'll stay with it then," she said. "May I look at it? And will you get the chair for me while I watch it?" "To be sure, ma'am. 'Tis here," he continued as he pushed the door open and led the way through a tiny room, the outer of two, that looking to the back corresponded with Tom's apartments at the front. Okay, ein Baby ist der neue Content, alles klar. He pushed open the door of the inner room, the floor of which was a step higher. If you'll see to it while I'm away, ma'am, and not be out of hearing. Ob jetzt diese imaginary female reader dann denkt, oh, ein Baby, ich muss weiterlesen. "I will," Josephine said softly. "Is it yours?" "No, my daughter's." Josephine tiptoed across the floor to the bedside. The room was poorly lighted by a window, which was partially blocked by water cistern. The bed stood in the dark corner beside the window. Josephine turned up her nose at the close air of the room, hesitated for an instant to touch the dirty, tumbled bedclothes. She could not see the child. "Where is it?" she asked. Look more closely. The answer was the dull jar of the door as it closed behind her, a sound that was followed by the click of a bolt driven home in the socket. She turned swiftly, her heart standing still, her brain already apprised of treachery? Verrat? Treachery. English is Englishing. Treachery. The man was gone. Josephine made but one bound to the threshold, lifted the latch, and threw her weight against the door. It was fastened. "Open!" she cried, enraged at the trick which had been played her. "Do you hear me? Open the door this minute." "What do you mean? How dare you shut me in?" Nicht schlecht. This time, the only response was the low, chuckling laugh of the clockmaker. As he turned away, she heard the stealthy fall of his footsteps as he went through the outer room. Then the grating of the key as he locked the farther door behind him. Then a silence. "Tom!" she cried. She shrieked, kicking the door and pounding it with her little fist. "Tom, help, help, Tom." And then, as she realized how she had been trapped, "Oh, poor Tom," she sobbed, "poor Tom, I can do nothing now." While Crocotte, listening on the stairs, chuckled grimly. "You thought you were going to stop my girl's marriage, did you?" He muttered. "You thought you'd stop her being my lady, did you? Stop her now if you can, my little madam." Sagt das. Wer ist Crocotte? Es ist Tom. Tom will heiraten. "You thought to stop her being my lady. Did you? Stop her now if you can, my little madam. I have you like a mouse in a trap. And when you are cooler, my lady Maitland shall let you out, my lady. Ha ha, what a sound it has, my lady Maitland." Then reflecting that Hawksworth, whom he hated and had caused to hate, had placed this triumph in his grasp, He shook with savage laughter. Lady Maitland, he chuckled, ho ho, and he gets the shells, ho ho. In his rooms at the corner house between Portugal Street and Bolton Street, so placed that by glancing a trifle on one side of the oval mirror before him, he could see the Queen's Walk and the sloping pasture of the Green Park. Sir Hervey Coke was being shaved. A pile of loose gold, which lay on the dressing table, indicated that the evening at White's had not been unpropitious. Das heißt, der Tom hat jetzt seine Schwester eingesperrt. Na gut. Damit sie das nicht verhindert. Ungünstig. Unpropitious. An empty chocolate cup and half-eaten rolls stood beside the money, and with Sir Harvey's turban cap and embroidered gown indicated that the baronet who in the country broke his fast on beef and small beer, and began the day booted, followed in town fashions. Today, however, early as it was, his wig hung freshly curled on the stand, and a snuff-colored coat and long-flapped waistcoat, plainly laced, were airing at the fire, signs that he intended to be abroad betimes and on business. Perhaps the business had to do with an open letter in his lap, at which the man who was shaving him cocked his eye inquisitively between strokes, or perhaps not, for Sir Hervey did not seem to heed this curiosity. But the valet had before had reason. To know that his taciturn master saw more than he had the air of seeing. Schweigsam. Taciturn. That is, taciturn master saw more than he had the air of seeing. Suddenly Sir Hervey raised his hand. Watkins, the valet, stood back. Bring it me, Coke said. The man had heard without hearing, as he now understood without explanation. He went softly to the door, received a note, and brought it to his master. An answer? No, sir. Then finish. The valet did so. Der Bedienstete When he had removed the napkin, Sir Hervey broke the seal, and after reading 3 or 4 lines of the letter, raised his eyes to the mirror. He met the servant's prying gaze and abruptly crumbled the paper in his hand. Then, Watkins, he said. Sir? About the 2 guineas you stole this morning. For this time you may keep them. But in the future, kindly remember 2 things. The razor the man was cleaning fell to the floor. His face was a sickly white. His knees shook under him. He tried to frame words, to deny it, to say something, but in vain he was speechless. Firstly, Coe continues, blandly, that I count the money I bring home at irregular intervals. Secondly, that 2 guineas is a larger sum than 40 shillings. Another time, Watkins, I would take less than 40 shillings. You will understand why. That is all. The man, still pale and trembling, found his tongue. Oh, sir, I swear, if you'll forgive me, Coke stopped him. That is all, he said. That is all. The matter is at an end. Pick that up, go downstairs, and return in 5 minutes. When the man was gone, Sir Hervey smoothed the paper, and with a face that grew darker and darker as he proceeded, read the contents of the letter from beginning to end. They were these. Dear Sir, Now, honor you intended my family by an alliance with a person so nearly related to us as Miss Maitland renders it incumbent on me to inform you with the least possible delay of the unfortunate event which has happened in our household, an event which I need not say I regret on no account more than because it must deprive us of the advantage we rightly looked to derive from that connection. At a late hour last evening, the misguided, and I fear I must call her the unfortunate girl, whom you distinguished by so particular a mark of your esteem, left the shelter of her home. It is now certain to seek the protection of a lover. While the least doubt on this point remained, I believed myself justified in keeping the matter even from you. But I have this morning learned from a sure source that she was set down about 9 o'clock last night at a house in Davis Street, kept by a man of the name of Wallenhope, and the residence, alas, that I should have to say it, of the infamous Irishman, whose intentions to her at one time attracted your notice. You will readily understand that from the moment we were certified of this, we ceased to regard her as a part of our family. A choice so ill-regulated can proceed only from a mind naturally inclined to vice. Resentment on your account, no less than a proper care of your household, dictates this course, nor will any repentance on her part, nor any of those misfortunes to which, as I apprehend her misconduct will surely expose her, prevail on us to depart from it. Forgive me, dear sir, if under the crushing weight of this deplorable matter I confine myself to the bare fact and its consequence, adding only the expression of our profound regret and consideration. My lord, I have the honor to remain your most obedient humble servant, J. Northey. A cold-blooded fish, Sir Harvey muttered, when he had finished, and he cast the letter on the table with a gesture of disgust. Then he sat motionless for several minutes, gazing at nothing, with a strange expression of pain in his eyes. Also ich muss sagen, es ist wieder großartig. Mea culpa. Perhaps he was thinking of the old mansion in Sussex, standing silent and lonely in its widespread park, still awaiting, a mistress. Perhaps the plans laid. Ist auch geil, wie dieses Baby kam, man denkt so, Gott, jetzt kommt auch noch ein Baby und dann ist das genau der Turnaround, der Turnover. Perhaps of plans late made, soon wrecked, yet no less cherished. Perhaps of a pale young face, white-browed and wilful, with eyes more swift to blame than praise, eyes which he had seen seeking pathetically, they knew not what. Or perhaps he was thinking of the notorious lady, of what Josephine might be some day. For he swore softly, and the look of pain deepened in his eyes. And then Watkins returned. Sir Harvey stood up. "You'll go to Wallenhope's," he said, "Wallenhope's in Davis Street, and learn whether the young lady who alighted there last night from a chair or coach is still there, and whether a person of the name of Hawksworth is there, and whether he is at home. And you will not tell my name, you understand?" "Yes, sir." "You have half an hour." The man slid out the room, his face wearing a look of relief, almost of elation. It was true then, he was forgiven. After that, Coke walked up and down, his watch in his hand, until the valet returned. In the interval he spoke once only. "She is but a child," he muttered. "She's but a child." And he followed it with a second oath. When his man returned, "Well," he said, without looking round. The young lady is not there, sir. She arrived at 8 last evening in a chair and left a little after 9 with the young gentleman. The person Hawksworth? No, sir. No? No, sir. Who it was, the landlord of the house did not know or would not tell. He was not in the best of tempers, and I could get no more from him. He told me that the young gentleman came in with his lodger about 9:15. With Hawksworth? Yes, sir, and found the young lady waiting for them. That the two gentlemen quarreled almost immediately, and that the young lady went off with the young gentleman, who was very young, sir, not much more than a boy. What address? I could not learn, sir. Watkins. Yes, sir. You may take 2 guineas. The man hesitated, his face scarlet. Scarlet? Das ist ein schöner Name, aber das bedeutet Scharlachrot. Ill will. If you please, sir. I consider I have them. Very good, I understand you. Now dress me. It took about 5 minutes. At that hour it was too early for fine gentlemen of Sir Harry's stamp to be abroad, and fine ladies were still abed, so that he fell in with no acquaintances. He had ascertained from Watkins in what part of the street Wallenhope's house was situate, and well within the prescribed space of time he found himself knocking at the door. It was opened pretty promptly by Mrs. Wallenhope. Does Mr. Hawksworth lodge here? Sir Hervey asked without preamble. Yes, sir, he does, the good woman answered, curtsying low at the sight of his feathered hat. Curtsying. Knixen. Leo, warum kennst du das nicht? Low at the sight of his feathered hat and laced waistcoat, and instinctively she looked up and down the street in search of his chair or coach, but he's out at present. He left the house about half an hour ago, Your Honor. Can you tell me whether he may be found? No, sir, I have no notion. Still, you can perhaps tell me the name of the young gentleman who was here last evening and took the lady away. Mr. Wallenhope raised her hands. There, Mrs. Wallenhope raised her hands. There, she exclaimed. I said we should hear of it again. Not that we are to blame. No, sir, no, except in the way of saving bloodshed. And as for the name, I don't know it, but the address now. Dropping her voice and looking nervously behind her, the young gentleman did give an address, and with a sudden change of manner, are these with you, sir? Coke, following direction of her gaze, turned about and found 2 rough-looking men standing at his elbow. No, he said, they are not. What do you want, my men? Lord, Your Honor, no hurry. We can wait till you've done. The foremost answered, tugging obsequiously at the uncocked flap of his hat, while his companion sucked his stick and stared. Pause. Or after all, what's the odds? Time's money, and there's many go in front of us would rather see our backs. Is the lady that came last night in the house, mistress? Sir Harvey stared while Mrs. Warren eyed the speaker with no, if that's what you want, she's not. The man slowly expectorated on the ground. Oh, he said, that being the case, when did she leave? No harm in telling that, mistress. She left within the hour, Miss Wallenhope said, and that's all I'll tell you about her. So there, and take yourself off, please. If the matter of half a crown now, Miss Wallenhope shook her head very. No, No, I don't sell my lodges. I know your trade, my man, and you'll get nothing from me. The bailiff grinned and nodded. All right. No need to grow warm. Easy does it. She gave us the slip yesterday, but we're bound to nab her by and by. We knew she was coming here, and if we'd waited here yesterday instead of at the coach office, we'd have took her. Come, Trig, we'll to the blue posts. If she's had a coach or a chair, we'll hear of it there. And with no offense, Your Honor, and a clumsy salute, the two catchpoles lounged away, and the one a pace behind the other, his knobby stick still in his mouth, and and his sharp eyes everywhere. Coke watched them go, and the more talkative man would have expressed his astonishment. He fancied that he knew all that was to be known of Josephine's mode of life. She might have spent a little more than her allowance at Margham's, or Lane's, might have been tempted by lace at Doyley's or ribbons at the New Exchange. But a writ and bailiffs? The thing was absurd, and for a good reason. Mr. Northey was rich, yet not so rich as he was penurious. The tradesman did not exist who penis. Penurious. Geizig. The tradesman did not exist who would not trust to the extent of his purse any member of that family. Coke was certain of this, and there was something here which he did not understand. But all he said was, "They are bailiffs, are they?" Ah ja, Gerichtsvollzieher. For sure, sir. I have a neighbor knows one by sight. All day yesterday they were hanging about the door, probing if the young lady was come. 'Twas on that account she surprised me, for I'd been led to look for a fine spendthrift madam. And when she came, Lord of mercy, my husband's coming down. If you want the address, she continued in a lower tone. "'Twas in Clark's Row, at Grosset's." "Thank you," Cook said. "Grosset's," she repeated in a whisper. Then louder tone, "No, sir, I can't say when he will be at home." "Thank you," Sir Harry said.